This week, I am painting easily the best villain in the Batman universe, the Joker. Now, when I got up to paint this morning, I didn't really have a plan to paint the Joker, but generally that's how it is with most paintings. I don't really have a plan of whatever I'm going to attack. Just an idea comes in, I figure, hey, why not go with it? Had an idea I wanted to do, so I did shoot that photo of reference there, and that's what I'm looking over to my iPad for is that photograph. Kind of see I deviate from it as the painting goes on, but just that initial photograph to kind of help with, especially when it comes to the mouth deformation stuff, it's quite helpful. Even though generally, most of the time I'm going without reference, this time felt like it warranted it. Using the marker to start the painting off, like, I don't know, sometimes it's easier to get a lot more detail with the marker, and it's faster because I don't have to keep dipping the brush back into the inkwell. So yeah, generally if I need a lot of detail with wrinkles and things, brush isn't the best tool to start with. So start off with the marker, and you see I'm getting into where this idea was going, and really it was the idea of, I don't know why, I just thought it'd be interesting if the Joker didn't have teeth, and here he is pulling out his dentures, so he's literally removing that part of his character that he's known for, his mouth and his laugh. I don't know, that was the idea. That's really all it came from, was an older Joker had no teeth. I think my favorite Joker is definitely Cesar Romero. He's got to be, I think he's great, from the 66 Batman. And, back when a time when it was more camp and fun, had a little more levity to it, wasn't so dark and brooding. And you can see those are literally the missing teeth gums that I'm inking in right there, those holes in the gums. I love the other Jokers too. Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger obviously killed it in The Dark Knight. Fantastic. But I love Cesar Romero, man. So much fun. I love the fact you can see his mustache. You can see the mustache stubble beneath his white paint. That's hilarious to me. And I love that. Just went with it. It's like, whatever. Who cares? Just cover it up. Back to the painting here. The hair was a lot of fun. Probably my favorite part, actually, is the hair. You can get a little wild with, I feel like, with the Joker's hair. And there's not much to say about it. I just kind of wanted to grab a mixed bag of the Jokers from all the different iterations over the years. But I think if you look at it, there's a bit of Cesar Romero in there, and a little bit of Killing Joker as well. I was doing some directing work and directing some animated commercials years ago. Got to do Lego Batman commercials for the movie when it came out. And so I got to do all the villains and everything. And one of my favorite spots was the one with the Joker. And you'll see a little bit of my original animatic and then the final commercial here. There's so much fun drawing the Batman villains in Lego form. Calling back to that 66 Batman, I have an old costume I made a few years ago, and every once in a while I'll break it out. And back in 2022, I was able to go to a dog Halloween party with my girlfriend and my dog Burton. And what better way than to go as the 66 Batman and dress up Burton as the Joker. And his little green wig on top is hilarious. It's like a dollop of green ice cream, or green cotton candy, rather. Love trying to incorporate my little buddy into any sort of Halloween activity I'm doing. The whole painting took about an hour, a little over an hour. And you can see, especially right here with the hand, it's very difficult to do that with a brush. So having that marker to at least get the main areas built out really, really helps, because in some other paintings you might have seen me messing around with the paintbrush and it just doesn't have the fidelity. And I can get that nice gestural detailed handwork in And even though, I had to change up the reference a bit, I was still able to use some of the hand positioning that I had for reference, and then just ad lib everything like I normally do, just paint from imagination. So him pulling his teeth out and adding in some shadow here just to help pop the chin out, his little necktie, and adding in some wrinkles and line weights to help pop the image as well. It's difficult to keep track of things when you're working this large. It's much easier on a smaller piece of paper to see everything. You have to keep, stepping back from the canvas when you're this close to it. So it's a little disorienting at times. That's the squeeze bottle I use from time to time. Attempted to use a squeeze bottle to get a nice stringy, drippy saliva blood effect. Didn't quite work though, so I had to come back in. And right there, I'm just using I have a little plastic siphon tool, and was flicking some paint on just to get it some nice splatter. And this, of course, is the fun stuff. The brush really lends itself very well to hair. Just as the bristles flare out, you get a lot of individual strands of hair. Adds a really nice detail to it. But overall, it also gives the image a little, a worn look to it. And that's where I love this flat edge brush I'm using. I think overall, I don't know, I have maybe like 4 tools I alternate between. I've tried various brushes, but I don't know, the flat edge angle really seems to do a lot of variation here. You can see like I'm adding this interesting little just kind of fun texture, this sort of circular pattern behind the Joker, and this flat edge brush really, it's very, very versatile. I think it's the tool I go to the most out of the brushes I've used. I don't know, I just haven't had much luck with the other brushes. They just kind of, they don't give me a sharp line or something, it just comes out blobby. So what you're seeing here is that's the tool I use the most. I think the second tool I love the most is the duster. I don't know what it was, just some cheap brush, but it looks like hell. I've put it through hell. And I love knocking back the line work. I think some people think I might take off too much, but for me, at least that close, it just feels too much like marker strokes, and any way to kind of knock that off and make it feel a little more natural or a little more distressed, that's where I love that duster brush. Coming in with the classic sort of Joker laughter font. Really, as the painting was going on, it was just kind of like, with a lot of these, I'm just trying to come up with like a nice little, almost like a logo in a way. So just a nice headshot of the Joker. Don't get too crazy, because I'm really, trying to crank these out in about an hour. And that was, it's always nice to be able to feel the image coming together. And like I said, I had an idea and I had that bit of reference, but I didn't quite know where I was going to go with it. So as you can see also up close here, it might be a little hard to read, but I'm scratching in a little more manic ha 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 in the shadow there. And at this point, I feel like I can definitely sense that the image is going to come to an end soon. So just putting final details on, a few splatters here, there. And I think as I was about to call it a day, I was like, oh my God, how could I almost forgot he had a flower. So adding this in last minute, I was really close to calling quits, and then would have had to come back in and draw that in. But for what it was, I feel like I was able to get across that kind of crazy side of the Joker, and the idea of him pulling his teeth out. These close-ups here too, I really love being able to share this with you guys because this is how I see it up close, and I love getting in there. And you know, a lot of these textures you would never see unless you were a few inches away from the painting. And you can see there, like, that's what I feel like. Sometimes you don't want it to feel all uniform. So that duster brush and scratching away and giving it just this beat up, worn out sort of feel to the painting really lends a lot of character to the piece too. Well, that wraps up this week's episode. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you guys had fun with this one. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Do me a favor, let me know below if there's something you really dug about this video. If you enjoyed this week's episode, here are a few other options that I think you'll enjoy just as much. So please check them out, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.